Something is happening in the Middle East. Something so critical that Israel's top military and intelligence officials are on high alert. A new kind of threat is rising in Iran. Not just another missile, but a mysterious weapon that has eluded Western surveillance, sparked secret emergency meetings, and reportedly caused panic inside the Israeli war cabinet. What is Iran about to unleash, and why is Israel so afraid? For decades, the tension between Israel and Iran has shaped the geopolitics of the region. From proxy wars in Syria and Lebanon to cyber attacks and nuclear sabotage, this shadow conflict has remained mostly in the background. But now, something has changed. Intelligence sources suggest that Iran may be days, or even hours, away from activating a new missile system unlike anything seen before. The details are scarce, the movements are secret, and the implications could be catastrophic. This isn't just about military posturing. According to insiders, this missile is not only longer range and more precise than previous models, but it also carries capabilities that could bypass Israel's most advanced defense systems. Is this the technological leap that Iran has been preparing for in silence? Or is it a psychological weapon meant to instill fear, chaos, and hesitation? In this video, we will uncover what is really going on behind the veil of secrecy. You'll hear about leaked satellite images, defense mobilizations, and a rising storm that could reshape the future of the Middle East. Stay with us, because what you're about to discover, few are talking about yet. To understand why this new Iranian missile is causing such fear, we need to go back to the roots of Iran's missile ambitions. The story begins during the brutal Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, a conflict that left hundreds of thousands dead and exposed Iran's vulnerability to Saddam Hussein's Scud missile attacks. With no effective air force and a heavily sanctioned military industry, Iran realized it had to rely on itself to build deterrent capabilities. Out of that urgency, Iran's missile program was born. Initially, Iran depended on foreign technology, acquiring Scud-B and Scud-C missiles from North Korea and Libya. These early weapons were unreliable, inaccurate, and limited in range. But they served a purpose. They gave Iran the first building blocks of a homegrown missile industry. Over the next 3 decades, Tehran would turn these crude systems into a sophisticated arsenal that today includes short-range, medium-range, and potentially even intercontinental-class missiles. What makes this transformation even more remarkable is that it happened under one of the most severe sanctions regimes in modern history. Deprived of global partners, Iran turned inward. Its engineers, scientists, and military planners began reverse engineering foreign models, designing new propulsion systems, and integrating solid fuel technology. At the heart of this effort stands the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. More than just a military force, the IRGC became the engine of Iran's ballistic program. Through its elite aerospace force, it spearheaded the production of missiles like the Shahab, Ghadr, and Sajil, while maintaining a veil of secrecy around newer models. Today, the IRGC's missile units are not only powerful but ideologically driven. Their mission is not just national defense, but revolutionary projection. And now, according to multiple sources, they may be preparing to unveil the most advanced weapon they've ever produced. They're calling it Zulfikar X, a name that hasn't officially appeared in any public Iranian military documents, but one that's rapidly spreading through classified intelligence circles and underground defense forums. Whether this is its real designation or a code name leaked intentionally by the IRGC, one thing is clear: this missile is unlike anything Iran has deployed before. What makes the Zulfikar X so mysterious is not just its potential power, but the sheer lack of verified information about it. Western intelligence has caught glimpses, partial satellite images of strange cylindrical structures, thermal signatures from desert test ranges, even intercepted chatter in Farsi suggesting imminent deployment, but nothing definitive. No footage, no parade displays, no public announcements, just silence and rumors. What do we think we know? Sources suggest the missile may have a range of over 2,500 kilometers, putting not only Tel Aviv but also southern Europe and key U.S. bases in the Gulf within striking distance. It is said to use solid fuel propulsion, which allows for rapid launch with minimal preparation. Some reports claim it has hypersonic capabilities, traveling at speeds above Mach 5, making interception nearly impossible with current Israeli defense systems. Others speak of a low radar cross-section, suggesting a stealth design, an unusual leap for Iranian missile technology. But perhaps the most unsettling speculation is about its payload. While some analysts believe it is conventionally armed with a high explosive warhead, others fear it could be designed for an electromagnetic pulse, EMP, or even, though still unverified, a nuclear-capable platform under development. The confusion is intentional. This missile has never been officially acknowledged, tested publicly, or shown in military drills. Experts are left with fragments, theories, and guesswork, exactly the kind of psychological leverage Iran may want. And that's what makes it truly dangerous. The mystery of the so-called Zulfikar X missile didn't emerge from an official statement. It was discovered. In early June, commercial and military satellite imagery began picking up unusual activity at Iran's Madarez and Karamabad missile bases. Large mobile launchers were being repositioned at night. Heat signatures indicated underground bunkers being opened and closed rapidly. Analysts noticed new construction zones near launch pads, sites not listed in Iran's previous ballistic test records. One image, captured by a European defense satellite, showed a massive cylindrical object, roughly 14 meters in length, being transferred under heavy security into a hangar rarely used since 2019. Within hours, Israeli intelligence agencies reportedly flagged the movement as Priority Level 1. Then came the leaks. Within days, sources inside the U.S. intelligence community confirmed to regional partners that a project with strategic consequences was entering its final phase. Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency, reportedly intercepted encrypted IRGC communications referring to a system with unprecedented capability. Though no names were mentioned, the phrases asymmetric response and deterrence beyond deterrence appeared repeatedly. More troubling were the anomalies. Satellite sensors detected electromagnetic disturbances in regions near missile facilities, possibly linked to radar or guidance system testing. Military drones flying near Iran's western desert were jammed. Some analysts even suspect decoy activities to distract foreign surveillance while final preparations were being carried out elsewhere. For Israel, these pieces painted a chilling picture. With no confirmed missile type, no known flight tests, and no public declaration, Iran appeared to be hiding something powerful and possibly nearing deployment. The panic wasn't triggered by what Iran said. It was triggered by what Iran did without saying anything at all. Behind closed doors in Tel Aviv, something has changed. For the first time in months, Israel's full defense infrastructure has been placed on elevated readiness, not in response to a rocket barrage from Gaza, but to a silent threat from deep inside Iran. Sources inside the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, confirm that Iron Dome batteries have been repositioned around sensitive military installations, while the David Sling system, designed to intercept mid- to long-range missiles, has entered a heightened alert mode. In the Negev Desert, Arrow 3, Israel's most advanced exo-atmospheric interceptor, is reportedly undergoing silent activation drills. The entire multi-layered air defense architecture is being calibrated for a scenario no one fully understands. Why the urgency? An anonymous senior official leaked that the latest intelligence reports suggest Iran's new missile could be launched without warning, using solid fuel technology and mobile launch platforms to avoid detection. The missile's unknown speed and trajectory have raised alarms. If it's hypersonic, it could bypass existing defense systems before Israel can react. Inside the government, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened an emergency meeting with the War Cabinet. Although no official statement was made, his tone in a recent public address was telling, "Israel faces new challenges from those who believe they can strike us from the shadows. Let me be clear, we see you." Meanwhile, there are signs of information control. Several military analysts have noted a sudden blackout on live radar tracking platforms over parts of the Negev in central Israel. Civilian air traffic has been quietly rerouted on multiple occasions. Some speculate that evacuation protocols for key government personnel have been discreetly tested in recent days. All of this without a single shot fired. To the Israeli public, life seems normal. But within the halls of command, preparations are underway, not for a skirmish, but for the possibility of a first strike. The shockwaves of Iran's mysterious missile development are not stopping at Israel's borders. Across the Middle East, capitals are holding urgent consultations, and military commands are shifting into contingency mode. The region, already volatile, now feels like a chessboard where one miscalculated move could ignite a full-scale regional war. In Saudi Arabia, intelligence agencies have reportedly exchanged data with their Israeli counterparts, an unusual but increasingly common cooperation under the table. Riyadh fears that any Iranian missile launch could destabilize oil corridors or provoke retaliation near its borders. Some analysts even believe Saudi Arabia may grant airspace access to Israeli jets if a preemptive strike becomes necessary, a move unthinkable just a few years ago. The United Arab Emirates, while officially silent, has increased security at strategic oil and port facilities, particularly around the Strait of Hormuz. Their concern is not just direct attack, but becoming collateral damage in a broader confrontation. Meanwhile, Syria and Lebanon are simmering. In Damascus, Iranian military advisors embedded within Syrian units have reportedly gone dark. No communication, no movements, possibly preparing for retaliatory actions. Along the Lebanese border, Hezbollah has mobilized several units under the guise of routine exercises. Israeli drones have observed increased activity around fortified bunkers and arms depots in southern Lebanon. This isn't just a bilateral crisis. The threat of Iran activating its regional proxies is real. The IDF has raised its alert level in Gaza, where Hamas could be instructed to open a southern front. In the north, the Golan Heights have seen a surge in surveillance, anticipating rocket attacks or infiltration attempts from Syria or Lebanon. Even in the Persian Gulf, U.S. naval assets have repositioned to reinforce key choke points. The Pentagon fears that a regional escalation could threaten maritime security, global energy flow, and broader Western interests. The Middle East has always been a fragile equilibrium, but with Iran's missile veiled in mystery and Israel poised to respond, that balance now hangs by a thread across multiple, unpredictable fronts. With tensions mounting and uncertainty growing, military analysts are racing to answer the most urgent question: what will Iran do next? While nothing has been confirmed, most experts agree that the situation is hurtling toward one of three possible scenarios, each with vastly different consequences. Scenario 1. A missile test. Iran could choose to launch the Zulfikar X in a controlled environment, likely over its own desert territory, as a demonstration of power. This would signal to the world, and to Israel in particular, that the missile is real, operational, and ready for deployment. Such a test would avoid direct confrontation while achieving the strategic goal of deterrence. However, even a test flight would send shockwaves through the region, possibly triggering preemptive countermeasures from Israel or the U.S. Scenario 2, a threat with no launch. Iran may never launch the missile at all. Instead, it could use the mystery surrounding the Zulfikar X as a psychological weapon, leveraging fear and uncertainty to gain political or diplomatic leverage. This tactic has precedent in Iranian strategy, using ambiguity as a tool to freeze enemy decision-making. The lack of hard evidence only deepens the strategic fog. Scenario 3. A real strike. The most dangerous possibility remains an actual launch, whether in response to a provocation, a miscalculation, or as part of a broader offensive. If fired, experts believe the missile would likely target either an Israeli airbase, a critical infrastructure hub, or even a symbolic civilian site to maximize psychological impact. The resulting escalation would be immediate and uncontrollable, drawing in multiple regional actors. If Iran moves toward a real launch, the timeline of escalation could be terrifyingly fast. Within minutes, Israeli early warning systems would detect the missile. Within hours, retaliation would begin. Airstrikes deep into Iranian territory, cyber attacks, and a potential activation of Hezbollah and Hamas. By day 2, the entire region could be engulfed in open warfare. In this scenario, diplomacy would be too late, and the world would watch, once again, as the Middle East descends into chaos, sparked by a missile that still hasn't shown its face. As Israel and Iran edge closer to the brink, the eyes of the world have turned toward the three global powers most capable of shaping the outcome: the United States, Russia, and China. Each is now calculating its response, not just based on alliances, but on global strategic interests. In Washington, the White House has issued cautious statements calling for restraint on all sides, but behind the scenes, the tone is far more urgent. The Pentagon has repositioned assets in the Persian Gulf, and CENTCOM has elevated readiness levels at U.S. bases in Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar. The U.S. is Israel's closest ally, and any direct Iranian attack on Israeli soil could trigger military support under pre-established defense agreements. Leaked diplomatic cables suggest that the U.S. has already delivered a private warning to Tehran via back channels in Oman. Do not test our red lines. At the same time, the CIA is said to be in active coordination with Mossad, monitoring Iranian troop movements and communications in real time. Russia, on the other hand, is treading a delicate line. Tehran is a valuable partner in Syria and an economic ally under Western sanctions, but a full-blown conflict could destabilize Russian influence in the region. The Kremlin has called for an urgent Security Council session at the United Nations, pushing for de-escalation while deflecting blame away from Iran. Yet observers note that Moscow's public diplomacy may conceal covert military technical support to Tehran. China's response is more subdued but no less strategic. As Iran's largest trading partner, Beijing is urging diplomatic solutions while protecting its energy interests in the Gulf. Chinese naval patrols in the Arabian Sea have increased in recent days, not to engage, but to ensure safe passage for oil shipments. Beijing has also offered to host emergency multilateral talks, positioning itself as a neutral broker, but one whose true loyalty lies in economic stability, not moral judgment. Meanwhile, the UN Security Council has entered emergency consultations. So far, no resolution has passed. The Council is paralyzed by vetoes, accusations, and geopolitical chess moves. Diplomacy is underway, but so are the preparations for war. And in the shadows, quiet conversations continue between generals, diplomats, and spies, desperately trying to prevent what could become the most dangerous military confrontation of the decade. Beyond the military calculations and diplomatic maneuvers lies another dimension, one rarely acknowledged in official briefings, yet deeply influential in both Tehran and Jerusalem, the spiritual battlefield. In the Islamic Republic of Iran, the belief in the Mahdi, the hidden 12th Imam, holds powerful sway among the ruling elite. Within certain factions of the IRGC and clerical leadership, there's a long-standing notion that major upheaval and confrontation, especially with perceived enemies of Islam, may pave the way for the Mahdi's reappearance. Though not all Iranian leaders adhere to this interpretation, it influences strategic thinking at the highest levels. For them, conflict with Israel isn't just geopolitical, it's prophetic. In contrast, among certain evangelical Christian communities, especially in the West, the tension in Israel is seen as a potential sign of biblical prophecy unfolding. References to apocalyptic wars, such as those described in Ezekiel or Revelation, are being invoked with growing urgency. Israel is viewed as the centerpiece of end-time events, and any threat to its existence, especially from Persia, modern-day Iran, feeds into a narrative of divine conflict. Within Israel itself, the tone is more restrained but no less rooted in history. For many Jews, the land of Israel is not merely a state, it is a covenant. The idea of being surrounded by hostile forces while facing existential threats is not new. It echoes biblical cycles of exile, return, and survival. The defense of the nation is not just a matter of sovereignty, but of spiritual destiny. Strategically, this mix of prophetic belief and political reality creates a volatile dynamic. Actions are interpreted not only as policy, but as fulfillment. A missile launch could be seen by some as the spark of divine judgment, by others as the final sign before redemption. And this is what makes the current moment so dangerous. It is not just about missiles, alliances, or deterrence. It is about beliefs that transcend logic, about leaders who feel they are acting within a larger cosmic script. When world powers calculate risk, they often forget the power of faith. But in the Middle East, faith writes the rules of war as much as any general ever could. The pieces of this complex puzzle are falling into place, but the full picture remains blurred and ominous. Iran's new missile, whether called Zulfikar X or another name, is a game-changer. It represents not only a leap in military capability, but a profound challenge to the fragile balance that has held the Middle East in uneasy peace for decades. Israel's heightened alert, the secret mobilizations, and the silent warnings from global powers paint a stark reality. The region is sitting on a powder keg. What remains uncertain is the timing. Will Iran's missile be tested, brandished as a threat, or fired in a strike that could trigger a wider war? Every move is shadowed by secrecy, uncertainty, and the ever-present risk of miscalculation. The consequences of escalation would ripple far beyond the region, threatening global security and economic stability. So we ask, is the Middle East one missile away from total war? This is not just a question for governments or armies. It's a question for all of us who watch, listen, and seek to understand this volatile world. If you found this analysis insightful, please like this video, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to our channel for timely updates on this developing crisis. Your voice matters. Stay informed. Stay vigilant.